What's the deal, YouTube? It's your boy NXTGEN720. I'm back with something special today. I haven't done one of these in a long time. I haven't done one of these since I ripped the head off and shit it down the Black Buster's critic throat. So, no, I haven't done one of these in a long time. Hoping to be fun and look for more of those. Like I said, I'm open. Like I said, as long as it's done respectful, I don't mind doing stuff like this. You know, I mean, to me, I think this is fun. To me, I think, like I said, this helps the community out in a positive way. Yeah. So I have a special guest today. Shout yourself out.
Bang bang. It's rated B. And I've tested positive for swag.
All right. So he's been trying to debate me for a while. I didn't think he was ready, but let's make it happen. So we're gonna do it. Hold on. I got the video pumping in the background. Hold on 1 second, bro. Let me cut the actual video off. There we go. We're gonna be debating the. We're gonna debate. We're gonna be debating the Xbox One versus the PlayStation 4, right?
Yep.
All right. Anything about the Wii U? We're just dealing with the Xbox One and the PS4.
Pretty much just that. The Wii U's basically irrelevant, aside from the fact that it's in second place.
All right. Okay. So let's make it happen. You want to go first? So I'm gonna ask you the question: what makes the PlayStation 4 better than the Xbox One?
But at the end of the day, kind of a generalization is it has a combination of quality and sales. Okay, and I'll start off with sales. I'll move on to quality and how many games and stuff like that later. But as far as sales are concerned, right now we already know the PS4 is over 11 million, and the Xbox One, it was confirmed a few months ago that it had shipped 5 million. It still hasn't been confirmed to even ship 6 million. And what that ends up doing is, the more consoles that one company sells, the more that people are going to start gravitating towards that console instead of the other one. And as a result, as we've seen with the 360 last gen and then the PS2 the gen before, what ends up happening is, you start to have much more third-party support, specifically for one console. I mean, we saw last gen games like, Mass Effect and Splinter Cell and stuff like that exclusive to the Xbox for a while, and then the previous gen you had Grand Theft Auto exclusive to the PS2. So a lot of people, and I understand, you can't play sales, but at the end of the day, sales do matter to an extent. You know what I mean? And when you see, okay, go ahead.
No. I just want to. So you're saying the PS4 is better than the Xbox One because of sales? That's your just because it's selling. I guess is selling better at this moment.
One of the parts is sales.
Okay,
yeah.
So can I count on that one part?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, here's the thing. Again, as a gamer, we don't play sales. And like I said, first of all, I'm going to counter yours. You know what I mean? To me, what makes the the PlayStation 4 is not better than the Xbox One. Our main purpose of buying a console was for games. The Xbox has way more exclusives. Fact. I mean, again, like I said, I don't deal with opinions. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. Now, if going by your theory alone is flawed. That's like saying if that was the case, the Wii would have had the large majority vast of third-party support, and that wasn't the case. The Wii won last generation by a landslide. Am I right or am I wrong?
Yeah, that's true, but at the same time, the Wii was a totally different system.
No, it was a console. Totally, I mean, regardless, you can't listen. You can't have it both ways now. You said sales.
To an extent, yeah.
I mean, no, this is what you said. Now you said sales. Now again, when I buy a console, I'm not going to store and say, hey, that one sells more. I'm looking at the games, and I'm looking at the PlayStation 4 library. Let's look at it. We got Knack, dog shit. Killzone, dog shit. Drive Club, like, come on. I even see some diehard Sony fans are pissed off about Drive Club. And what do we have to look for this holiday season? Little Big Planet, a cross-generation game.
Okay, can I cut you off right there?
Yeah.
So my counter to that is, exclusives are only a piece of the puzzle. In my opinion, a library is always greater than the exclusives. And when you have, so I went on Metacritic, and on Metacritic, as of now, single A, AA, AAA games, so like 70 to 79, 80 to 89, and 90 to 100, The PS4 has 93 total games in that range, whereas the Xbox One has 57. Single A, the PS4 has 50, and the Xbox One has 35. Double A, the PS4 has.
Not to cut you off. You said because my mic hit went out. You said you went to Metacritic and what? Who did what?
Okay, so on Metacritic, I went through and I
You
counted
do,
the
you do
total.
understand that that's opinionated. You know what I mean? You say tomato, I say tomato.
I know, but
And I'm just saying, the average Joe Schmo that goes out to the store and can say, well, you know what? Nat got a 43 on Metacritic. You don't think about shit like that. Come on. That does
see,
not, listen again, that does not sway. And for the record, we are what you call die-hard gamers. Casuals are what, the people that may buy Madden or, how you say, the dude bros. That makes up the bulk of the install base. You know what I mean? When the average Joe Schmo walks into the store, they want to know if they can play their duty. They want to know they can play their Madden. They want to know that they can play, whatever the hell, FIFA, whatever the case may be. Metacritic, you're not thinking about, man. The average motherfucker don't know what the fuck a Metacritic is. You and I know, but that doesn't sway anyone's purchases.
I got you, but at the same time, you said that you claimed that the PlayStation exclusives were garbage.
Are they? I mean, you think they're world beaters?
I think Killzone is solid, and at the end of the day,
Okay, I'll give you
when you
that.
take into
That's your opinion. I can't. Again, I won't argue with your opinion. But you say Killzone is solid, so Killzone's the Halo killer. But okay, what else do we have here?
Okay, so basically, the reason I use Metacritic is because it's a general, gathering of different people's opinions of these games, and games above 70, to some extent, they should have some type of quality. And the PS3, it has 5 games that are 90 or above, whereas the Xbox One only has 1.
The PS3
And
or the
a lot of
PS4?
people always talk about the exclusives, but like I
What are you
said,
talking about? We talking about the PS4, the Xbox One. You said the PS3.
oh, I meant the PS4. The PS4 has 5 AAA games right now.
Okay, and can you name these games?
Yeah, and that's what the next point I was going to get to, is that they had games like The Last of Us, Flower, Fez, Rayman
Wait,
Legends.
bro. We gonna do indies or are we gonna do retail games?
See, that's the thing, though. You have to take everything into consideration because a game is a game.
Listen, here's the thing. Okay, now and it is okay. Now and listen, hear me out. When you walk into a store, and bro, I understand. And honestly, because you guys, Sony fans, you guys like to have it both ways. Last generation indies didn't count. The Xbox 360 has a shitload of indies. We got them every Tuesday and every Wednesday. They didn't count. You know what I mean? Yesterday was didn't get exclusive, and indies didn't count. Now this generation indies count. Again, when you walk into a store to buy a console, you're not thinking about what you can download off the marketplace. But what you see there in front of you. So
But
when
at
I'm
the
talking
end of the
about
day,
what I'm talking about, I'm talking about retail games, AAA games. Okay, Flower is not a AAA game. I'm sorry, it's not. Now, if you want to argue NAC is, I can't. That's your opinion. If you want to argue Killzone is, again, I can't do. That's your opinion. That's a retail game. Flower is not a AAA game, bro. That doesn't have a big budget. None of that shit. I wouldn't even listen. And big as Minecraft is, I wouldn't even say Minecraft is a AAA game. I'm just being honest. But again, so I'm talking about retail games. What are these AAA retail games?
okay, so basically, The Last of Us, Rayman Legends were both on there,
So,
and the thing is,
Rayman
when you have,
Legends?
see, the thing is though, is that games
Is it
like The
Rayman Legends?
Last of Us, as well as Flower and Little Big Planet 3, which a lot of people are bashing Little Big Planet right now, but that, along with MLB The Show, Tearaway is coming to the PS4. These are all
Okay,
games
but
that
again, this Tearaway is not a retail game, and you're back to Flower again.
see. But see, the thing is, all these games, they're multiplats that aren't on Xbox. So even if The Last of Us, it's on PS3 as well. So is Rayman Legends. But at the end of the day,
Rayman
games like The
Legends?
Last of Us,
What is Rayman Legends? What the hell is that?
it's a Ubisoft game. That 2D side scroller. It was a retail game though, but
Okay. Isn't Rayman Legends? Isn't the last Rayman on the Xbox One?
it is. But I'm just saying that these are some of the AAA games. But as far as games that aren't on
So
Xbox,
you're naming multiplats then, because Rayman Legends. I'm saying for exclusive. Rayman Legends is on the Xbox One also.
well, okay. So let me clarify. Rayman Legends, Diablo, and Fez are all AAA, or like AAA as in 90 or above on Metacritic. And
Oh, hey,
those
bro, you need. I asked you for exclusives. Give me exclusive, not
I know.
multiplats. Give me something that I can only find on the PlayStation 4. You're naming the. See, look again. You're naming stuff that I can buy on my Xbox One. You're naming stuff that I can buy on my. Well, you know what? I'm even lenient. I'm not. I would say I don't consider the PC as being a console. I'm not one of those ones, you know. I mean, you know, and again, if Microsoft, like I said before, Microsoft doesn't care if you can buy a game on Windows. Shit, they make Windows. You know what I mean? Again, I don't, you know, I'm not, you know what I mean. But I'm asking you for. Okay, hey, hold on. Hey, Chanel, can you give her a juice? I'm having a heated debate here. Should go get one out to get your juice out the refrigerator? You can grab one. But again, like I said, Rayman Legend, you're trying to sneak in multiplats. That's I can buy that on my Wii U.
No, see, here's what I mean though. All these games
I
are
can buy it
90
on
or
my
above, but
360.
when it comes to exclusives, I think just stripping it down to exclusives alone, I think that's a pretty shallow way of thinking about it. I think you should also include games
So
like The Last of Us and Flower and Fez, which are on PS3 or PC, because those games are not on Xbox. They're multiplats, not on Xbox One. So in my opinion, they
So,
still
so,
count.
but why do you say Rayman Legend? Why are you naming Rayman Legend?
I was
That's
just
on
naming that
Xbox.
as one of the games that's 90 or above. I didn't mean that it was
Okay,
an
so it's
actual
not 90
exclusive.
above on the Xbox One.
I know, I'm just saying that's one of the 5 games that is 90 or above on PS4, and it's the only one that's 90 or above on Xbox One.
Okay, but once again, all right. So I'm gonna say you can't see. Here's the thing: when I tell you that Sony's lineup is weak, because you can't give me retail games. You're going back to stuff that I can download only. So I'm
But The Last of Us
asking
is
you,
retail.
as a consumer, if and since you said that people go inside the store and think about, well, what's that on Metacritic? I don't think it goes that way, but I'm asking you if I'm going here. I'm like I said, right now, what Sony is doing, they are riding that hype. They are riding that hype right now. They have a lot of momentum. You know what I mean? And like I said it again, and kudos. Like I said, it pushes the industry forward. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I will be surprised if the PlayStation 4 outsells the Xbox One in October and in November with Halo and Sunset Overdrive. I mean, those are huge titles for Microsoft. Microsoft always had their biggest months during like November and December, and that's their big push. But again, when someone goes into a store, a prime example, I'm gonna give you from my case. I've always been a gamer, right? I've always been a gamer. But I stumbled upon this community 2 years ago. I didn't even know it existed. I was just coming here looking. I don't know how the hell I found the gaming community on YouTube. Didn't even know it existed. Okay, and like I said, I've always had all the consoles, Neo Geos, Turbo. I have always had all that shit. Okay, but again, I never bought a console thinking about anything on Metacritic. The average motherfucker don't know what the fuck Metacritic is. I can promise you that. Like I said, I know what it is now. Once I came to this community, people talk, made a big shit, a big to do over it, but that has never swayed my purchase of anything. You know, what I mean, but I'm telling you, and like I said, I'm just as big as a gamer as you, and there are people just this can be into games just as much as me and you. They don't know what the fuck a Metacritic that has anything to do with their purchase. But you're saying that PlayStation 4 is better because of what? Because it's selling more right now. Is that? But
What
that's what you're saying.
That's one of the reasons, but one of the other reasons is the Metacritic thing, because even if the average person may not really know about it, the games are there. The PS4,
Okay,
like I
so
said, it
what
has
exclusives?
93 it has
What exclusives?
93 single A, double A, triple A games, whereas the Xbox One only has 57.
Again, so what exclusives are these? What are exclusives? Not multiplayer. What exclusives? So what did Nat get? When I think of Sony exclusives, I think of Nat. I think of Drive Club. I think of Killzone.
At the end of the day, both Drive Club and Forza 5 are in the C range. They're both single A games.
Bro, you trying to Forza Horizon 2 is a double A
No, no,
game, a
Forza
single A game.
5. Forza 5. But then again, with Forza Horizon, something else that
Forza 5 is one of Forza, the series alone is one of the highest rated all-time racing games.
I
I
know,
believe
but
it's ranked
Forza 5
higher
on
than
Metacritic has
Forza 5 is
79.
an unbelievable. It's ranked Forza series is always rated higher than Gran Turismo, if I'm
See,
not
the thing,
mistaken.
but I'm saying that Forza 5 has a 79 on Metacritic, and Drive Club, I believe, has a 71 or 72. So they're
What
both
about
in the
Forza
single A
Horizon 2?
range.
What about Forza Horizon 2?
Forza Horizon, that was somewhere in the 80s.
But again, when that's the thing, I'm gonna be honest with you, bro.
But oh, go ahead.
I can't. Maybe for you. So you mean to tell me when you go to buy a game, you determine the fact of you buying the game and what's scored on Metacritic?
No, but I'm just saying that that's one of the
Okay,
offerings.
so if you're
I
saying
have.
you don't do it, here's the thing. You just said that you don't do it. So why do you think other people? I don't do it either. If that's the case, I never would have bought Rise. If that's the case, I never would have bought Killzone. 'Cause I do realize what you eat don't make me shit. You know what I mean? I love Killer Instinct. There's nothing on the PlayStation 4 to me is better than Killer Instinct. But that is my opinion. You know, I can't debate you over your opinion, but that is my opinion. You
I get
know,
you.
you know what
At
I
the
mean?
end
And
of the
I
day,
can't.
though,
I would never debate you over your opinion. I can't do that. But all I asked you were for retail games.
I
And
got
I'm
you.
telling you, if you're saying that it's not fair, I mean, you're saying that you don't use Metacritic as a determining factor for you to buy a game, you can't say that the mass public does it either.
No, no, you're
Because
putting words in my mouth, though. I'm not saying
I
Metacritic
just
is
said
a
that. I
defining
just,
factor.
hey, Brady D, come on. Brady D, I just asked you. I said to you, I said, do you do it? Do you use Metacritic as a determining factor to buy your games? You said no.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, then I don't do it either. So can we just leave that Metacritic shit out of it? Because I don't walk into a store and say, that got a 42 on Metacritic. No.
But see, Metacritic gives you a certain quality of how good the game is. Anything 70 or above should have some type of quality to it when you take all these different people's
Brady
opinions
D,
into
hey,
consideration.
Sleazy D, you just said that you don't use it yourself.
I know, I don't. I'm just saying this is one of the things that makes, in general, the PS4 better, is that it has more quality
Wait,
game.
bro, okay. Again, here's the thing: a quality of game. The Xbox One has more exclusives, hands down. That more retail exclusive. That can't be argued. Whether you say there's single D, triple D, whatever the hell, it has more retail exclusive. Do you agree?
I mean, I have to look at the numbers. I can't just generalize it
You
like
don't
that.
have to. I can name right now. The PS4 has Knack, Killzone, Infamous, Baseball, and Drive Club. They have 5 retail exclusives.
But see, you merge two different genres or two different types of gaming. The way I like to think about it is with the PS4, you have the, you know, straight exclusives like Infamous, and then you
Okay.
have the multiplats not on Xbox One like The Last
Bro,
of Us,
I would
and
say
they'll be just showing
exclusive.
stuff
Listen,
like
I'm
that.
sorry. And now listen again. I will give you The Last of Us because it released on the PlayStation. I'll say I'm not a hard ass. If I can't buy that game on the Xbox One, it is a console exclusive. I'm not one of those guys. There, it's not. I don't consider The Last of Us a multiplat. It's on the. And I'm sorry, I forgot the Last of Us. Okay, so retail games we got. Maybe we'll start again. We got Knack. We got that Knack. We got that Killzone. We got Infamous Second Son. We got baseball. We got baseball. We got Drive Club, and we got what do you call that shit? You just need The Last of Us. And for the Xbox One, okay, we have Killer Instinct, which you can buy inside the store. Killer Instinct. We have Rise.
But Killer Instinct's not a retail game; it's
Yes, it is.
downloadable.
What you like the link? I just bought a card copy from GameStop, disc and all. It is so. It's a retail game. You have Killer Instinct. It's 19. Look, it's $20. Look on GameStop right or look on Amazon. A disc and all. You can even get TJ combo with it. You have Killer Instinct. We have Killer Instinct. We have Rise. Forza 5. Titanfall. What else do we have? Forza Horizon 2. Well, you with Sunset Overdrive, the Master Chief Collections. What else would we have? We have some more shit there. Well, we know that. I can even give you this. What's coming out for the PS4? We got what do you call it? It's coming. What's the Order, which are getting pretty bad reviews. But guess what? And I guarantee you, now you're going to prove my point. And I guarantee you that the Order are going to receive low scores because they're already tearing that game a new ass right now. And you're
All right,
still
we'll
going to
have
buy
to
it,
see
right?
about that, though.
Huh? I'm just
We'll
saying.
have to see about that, though. I'll wait until the reviews because it won tons of awards at E3, and then after people played the same demo over and over, that's when they started criticizing it.
Yeah, but I'm just saying because because they didn't get their hands on it at E3. They looked at it on the screen at E3. They didn't get a chance to play it at E3. Their game was not playable at E3. It looks cute. That motherfucker looks like a doll. It looks very nice. And then once they got you can't you don't mean again once they get their hands on it, Now again, no, like I'm saying, you're telling me that you're gonna wait for the reviews to come in to play the order.
No, no, no. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that
You're
as
gonna
of
buy
right
it, right?
now,
You're
the
gonna buy
general
it.
consensus about the quality of these games, the PS4 has more of them, and to just separate them from retail to downloadable, you're essentially, stripping
Uh,
part of the offerings that the PS4,
I didn't
gives
name
you.
Project Spark. I didn't name Project Spark. I didn't name D4. There are a
I
lot.
know, but I'm just saying, like, but
I
you're
didn't
not
name
counting,
Max Curse or the Brotherhood. I
but you're
didn't
not
name it
counting the
again.
downloadable
Again,
games.
you can't. Here's the thing, Brady D. Cause you said you didn't do it yourself. You can't judge a console or because again, I don't like Killzone. I think that's a dog shit game. Again, but someone else likes it. Okay, you understand it?
Yeah.
I would never argue with you. Say no for you not to count Killzone because I don't like it. I like all the Xbox One exclusives. I do. I'm an Xbox dude through and through. Like you know what I mean? So I know there's going to be a little. Hold on. So I know I'm going to be a little biased towards that. I know because that's again, that's my opinion. Like I would never argue with you with your opinion. You know? I don't know. Yeah, that's your mom. I don't have your fair. I wouldn't argue with that's your opinion. You know what I mean? But I'm just making a point that regardless of what it says on Metacritic, I know that you're going to go out there and buy the order. Guess what? I'm going to go to buy the order. I have the collector's edition, regardless of what it says on Metacritic. And the reason why I'm going to buy the order because guess what? I don't have any games on the PS4. I don't have not one fucking game. Why? Because I had a fire, but that's neither here nor there. The reason why I own a PlayStation 4 are for their exclusives. Any multiplats that come out, I get it on my Xbox One because Xbox Live is and again, you can't negate that the Xbox Live is a superior service than PSN. You're not going to go there, are you?
Well, that's debatable because Xbox
What?
Live tends to go down from time to time, and the friends list
What?
has problems just like the PS4 does.
Hey, bro, listen. When has the Xbox One? Bro, I have Xbox Live. Okay, my service is up every day. Now, sometimes the friends list doesn't load, and that's not that the friends list. It's a blade that you can see your friends list on the front of your screen. It's not that you can't access your friends list. It's two different things. Okay, it's not that well you don't have an Xbox One, but the Xbox One has the new update. They have a blade in the front of your screen that you can see your Xbox, you see your friends list from there, and that's not there sometime. Well, I think it happened 3 times this month, but you can still go inside your thing and access your friends list. It's two different things. Xbox Live has never been down for maintenance. We don't have those type of issues. The
But it
problem
does
is
go.
with no,
It still goes
bro,
down from time to
I'm
time.
telling you that I have Xbox Live, and I'm on my Xbox. Okay, Xbox Play. I'm on my Xbox every day, every day, every day. Videos, I do the majority of my videos from my Xbox. Xbox Live is on every day. I don't have a problem with that. You know what I mean? Now, again, now you may have some games like Destiny, but it had issues or whatever because they choose to use their dog shit servers. But Xbox Live doesn't go down for maintenance, bro. We
Well,
have
real quick, I
stuff.
will give you that these developers should be taking advantage of the
They should.
dedicated servers. If they're not, then they're acting messed up with that. But the other thing is that there was an entire website dedicated to covering Xbox Live hacks last generation called Hacked on Xbox.
What
And
heck?
I'm going
What
to
heck
start
is this?
making
Some
it
efficient
clear.
scam?
In fact, Michael Pachter even lost money from Xbox
That's a
360 to
phishing scam.
Xbox Live.
If you're dumb enough to give someone your password, that's a phishing
No,
scam.
it's not
That's
that
not,
though. Like people actually hacked into these guys'
bro.
accounts,
I
so
have
none of
listen.
the
I
Xbox
lost.
Live.
Whoa, you want? This is not candy. That's not candy. That's not candy, baby. Hey, that's not. I give you a gumball. Hey, hand me. I'm sorry. 1 second, bro. I'm sorry. Hand it in your pocket. After I give you this gum, sit down. Let Daddy finish his thing. Right here. Okay. Yeah. Hand me that. Yes. There you go. Yeah. Thank you. Give here. Give here. That is a phishing scam. That's not the Xbox servers. If you give someone your password and they access your account, that's not Xbox Live. Now, what
But these
Sony had
people
on the other
weren't
hand,
giving their passwords away. They genuinely got hacked. Even Michael Pachter got hacked and lost
no,
money from it.
bro, no, bro, that's a phishing scam. That's not the same. I'm telling you. Now, what Sony, bro, I'm not. Pick that up. Pick that up. I'm not just saying that because I'm an Xbox dude. No one has never hacked into Microsoft servers and took in your credit card number. Not that shit that Sony did. I lost money, and these motherfuckers didn't tell them. They didn't have, bro. Listen, Sony knew that this is fucked up again, and that's why I say that PlayStation Plus is listen. I'm gonna say this clearly. I don't have a problem paying for a superior service. I don't, but I do have a problem when that same Well, before I go there, do you think they should charge for PlayStation Plus to play online?
I think it's messed up to pay to play online, but if they're gonna give you free games, then go for it.
Okay, all right. Now I'll say this. So, if why is it free on the PS3 and the Vita? You know what I mean? And then, but it's not. And it's on the PS4, the PS3, and the Vita are all on the same network. So why is it okay for them to be online free on the PS3 and the Vita, but it's not okay for the PS4?
They probably
This,
did that because Microsoft made it standard at this point, and that's one of the problems that I have with Xbox.
oh, listen. So again, you're not answering my question. I mean, like I said, I don't have a problem. Again, I don't have a problem paying for superior service. My question is with you, if which the PS4, the PS3, and the Vita are on the same network. If it's free for them to play online for those on the PS3 and the Vita, why they charge me gas? I don't give a fuck about those indie games. They're not giving me retail. Again, I don't care about those 8-bit games. I don't give a. I'm not going to play them. I don't want to play them. And if they gave me some quality games, some
Like
retail games,
Outlast.
if they gave me some, give me this. If they gave me some retail games, fun, but it still has nothing to do with me playing online. So again, it's on the same network, which is predicated on peer-to-peer. So, because when the PS4 is down, the Vita is down, and the PS3 is down. So, why am I paying for this service? It still frees and performs like a free service. It does. That's
Like I
something you
said,
can't argue against. That's something that you cannot argue against. That's fact.
I know, and like I said, it's probably because Microsoft has made it standard to pay to play online now.
Why? No, it's not because you don't pay online with Steam. You don't pay to play online with the Nintendo Network. That has nothing to do with it.
But the
Nothing.
Nintendo's online is not that great though.
No,
And as
no.
far as Steam is concerned,
Listen again. I would
PC
say
always
this.
has options.
No, 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 no. I would say this. Now I'm gonna call a spade a spade. I'm not a big Nintendo supporter, but their network is more stable than Sony's. I will give it. It doesn't go down. Now it may have all the features of the PS4 and the Xbox One, but Nintendo's network service is always up, and it's free. But my question is for you.
Well,
What?
technically, it's not free. You need to pay. I think it was like 50 cents to
No,
initially make
I
up your
never paid
account.
anything to access the Nintendo network. I didn't pay shit.
Well, there's a
Nothing.
startup fee. I remember that.
No, bro. I bought a Wii U day one. They didn't charge me a dime. I bought a Wii U day one. They didn't charge me anything. Now,
Okay.
again, my question is to you: if they're charging me, why are they charging me to pay online, and I'm on the same network as the PS3 and the PS4? I'm sorry, the PS3 and the Vita. Why are they? Now you saying this? Oh, you're blaming. How the hell could you blame Microsoft for that? What does Microsoft business have to do with Sony business? Nothing.
Because it's obvious. Michael Pachter even said that Microsoft makes a boatload of money off of Xbox Live
So
fees,
again, but
and
what
so
does Microsoft have to do with Sony?
because it's starting to become an industry trend, just like DLC.
Oh, again, so what does that have to do with Sony and with Microsoft? Let me tell you something. And again, you're comparing apples to oranges. Xbox Live is here now. What's this? Just hear me out, and I can let you counter this. Microsoft will always be light years ahead of Sony when it comes to software. This is what they do. They are a software company. This is what pays the bills when it comes to networking, and this is what they do. This is what pays the bills for Microsoft.
But at the
Sony.
end of the day, it's an
Let me finish. Let me finish.
They're always going
We
to
can
be like
sing
that.
together, but we can't talk together. Just let me finish. You can answer the. Like I said, Microsoft will always be leap years ahead of Sony when it comes to software networking and shit like that. This is what they do. This is what pays the bill. The fact you don't have an Xbox One, bro, I can do everything from that goddamn system, multitasking, all types of shit. You know what I mean? But anyway, I'm going to come to that in a minute. They will always be light years ahead of Sony when it comes to that. You know what I mean? This is what they do. This is what pays the bills for Microsoft. Now, Sony, they are what you call a hardware company. They makes the fact that they can have that powerful console and have the power supply inside the console. This is what Sony does. I would give them that. You understand that, okay? They both have their strengths. That doesn't sway my purchase because of power brick is outside the console. I'm just showing you what Sony's good at. This is what Sony's do. But my question is, before we get off topic, I'm asking you, I don't understand why I'm paying for PlayStation Plus to play online, okay? You know what I mean? Because, again, to pay online, they're charging me now, which, again, it still performs like a free service. You even got some people, diehard Sony fans, you know what I mean? Again, and because you be saying that I'm being biased, you have diehard, and I don't want to bring, but diehard Sony fans are saying like, damn, we're paying for this, and it's always down. You see, like, God damn, it still performs like a free service. You know, what I mean, still do. And I'm asking you, why is Sony charging this if the Vita and the PS3 are free to play online and they're on the same network? Because when one is down, all of them are down.
I got you. And here's the thing. So they started
Okay.
PlayStation Plus on the PS3, and you got all this free stuff or whatever. So that's the incentive
Okay.
for you to get PlayStation Plus. And the fact that you
Okay.
need to pay to play online for most multiplayer games, they're basically giving you the free games as an incentive to do that. And they started to do that, like I said, because thanks to Microsoft, it's become an industry standard now to pay to play online. That's the way I view it.
Okay. All right. Just to counter you. Okay. Steam has a far bigger. I don't know, but I think about a few million. Steam is bigger than Xbox Live. They have more members, and that's free. So again, you can't say that. If anything, it would be Steam would be the industry. That would be the standard because, like I said, Steam has a far bigger install base than Xbox Live.
But what does PC have to do with this? This is just
No, no,
PS4,
no, 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 no,
Xbox
no.
One.
I'm just saying about far as network or service. You're
See,
saying because if you're saying because Microsoft charges, if that's the case, if Microsoft set the standard, why is Nintendo not charging?
because Nintendo and the PC have always been totally different. The PC, they always have options. Nothing's ever really forced onto them. And then Nintendo's always
Well,
just
this
done
thing,
whatever
well, you
they
don't know if
want.
you don't have a gaming rig. Well, I don't have anyone anymore. But again, when it's something you can put it in picture. But something like Xbox Live, you go there, you have your friends list, this, that, and the other, and you play online. Cool. You even have some games with dedicated servers and all that shit right here. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying, you're saying is, it's inside the industry. It's gaming. We're talking about games, and you're saying you're blaming. How the hell, bro? That's man. Listen here, man. You're passing the buck. You're saying you're blaming Microsoft. So if you're so pissed off at Microsoft, you should be even more pissed off at Sony for doing this.
Well, yeah, I don't like it.
So
I
why?
didn't
So
get
if you don't
PS4
like it, why do you support it? Why
because
not?
they,
Why not
at
put
the
your foot down?
because at the end of the day, they're still giving me the free games. I'll take that.
So you went
And they're
against.
giving you,
So
but
you,
see, they're
okay,
giving you
I'm
free
sorry.
games for three different platforms. That's the thing. It's not like it's PS3, PS Vita, and PS4. It's not just PS4.
Okay, but again, I don't. Now I don't care. You take someone like me, and I'm not. If it's a game that I want, if I'm sorry, if it's a game that I want, uh, rated E, I'm going to buy it. You understand it? So I'm not going to sit around and wait for PlayStation Plus to give it to me free. I can care less about those indie games. They don't give me quality games on the PlayStation 4.
But Outlast was a really high quality game, and that was an indie game.
Huh? Oh,
Outlast, when they had that for
I
free
don't.
in
Again, I
February.
don't. If I wanted to play Outlast, I would have played it on my rig 2 years ago.
But again, you're going back. This is PS4, Xbox
I'm
One.
just saying, but you're
This
saying
is a
to
game
you,
that you can get.
listen, but here's the thing. Again, we're going about my opinion. You do realize what you like and what you eat don't make me shit. You're saying Outlast. I don't care about Outlast. If I wanted to play Outlast, money is not an issue. Okay, I'm not saying I'm wealthy, but I can afford all of my gaming needs and then some. If I wanted to play Outlast, I would have played it on my rig with much, at 4K resolution.
I know,
Okay.
and I could play Titanfall on my PC, and I did that, and I
Okay,
didn't
well,
like it.
fine. It's cool.
But see, that's where I was going with earlier. Is Titanfall is a game that's a multiplat, not on PS4, and Outlast, for the time being, before was a multiplat on PS4, not on Xbox. That's what.
But no, we talking about the Titanfall is a Microsoft exclusive.
I know, but it's the multiplat, not on PS4. That's what I'm saying.
But
Just
it's
like at the
no, it's
time,
no, it's a
Outlast was the same way.
Microsoft. Titanfall is a Microsoft exclusive. You cannot play Titanfall whether you're on a PC. You can't play no Linux or what you call it. You have to have again, and I don't know why. I think a lot of Sony dudes they pick and choose when they say exclusive. You know what I mean? Like I look at what's that
No,
DC? What's that thing? DC Universe Online or whatever the hell
yeah,
you
DC
call it.
Universe. It's
That's
a
to me that's
multiplat, not
yeah,
on
no.
Xbox One.
Well, again, I look at it as just it's a PS4 exclusive. It's a Sony exclusive. Even though that motherfucker say Windows. PlanetSide, even though it says Windows, it's a Sony exclusive because I can only play that game on a console on the PS3 or the PS4. And you know what I mean? I think it's a lot of. I'm not saying you. A lot of Sony fans like to pick and choose when they talk about exclusivity. You know, what I mean, exclusivity. No, okay. And again, so
And that's why I
I
made
got
it
to.
clear,
So
though.
you said, why does PSN cost more just to play online? You know, what I mean,
Well, it doesn't cost more. It costs
it
10
does.
bucks less than Xbox Live.
No, some countries it costs more. Canada it went up. A few places it went up.
Well, yeah, but in the U.S. right now, I don't care about what other countries are doing. In the
Oh, yeah, they're
U.S., it's
gamers,
$50
bro.
for
I mean, here's the thing.
PS4,
You do realize that.
60 for
Here's the
Xbox.
thing. Evil D, this is a business. So we got to get out, whether it's Sony, Microsoft, and I think a lot of you fans for all Sony cares about the gamer. No, Sony wants to make a dollar. And if these people accepted it in whatever the hell, the Canada, you know what I mean? Trust me, or whatever the hell they pass it at, they want to do the same thing here in the States. Sony is bleeding money. Sony may have sold 11 million consoles, but they ain't making $11.
But you don't know what the financial situations may be in other countries compared to ours.
But again, I'm just saying, listen here, let's say if they raise the price in other countries and they accepted it, like prime example, the UK, in which their dollar is worth more than their dollar is worth more than the American dollar, okay, and it costs us more in the UK than it does here in the States. So you can't even justify saying the dollar is weaker in some countries because the pound is worth more than the American dollar. No, like I said, it's a business. So again, if it's okay, if they what they do again, it's all business. If they try it here, if they find if it's accepted here, they push it off to other countries, and either you take it or you don't take it. Now, me personally, I don't think I will be renewing my PlayStation Plus because I don't have any games. Like I don't care about those 8-bit games. If I want to buy them, I would play them. I would buy them, and the biggest game that I just looking for that's coming out for the PS4 is The Order, and that doesn't even have a multiplayer. It's the same as a 6-hour campaign. So why the hell do I need PlayStation Plus? It doesn't serve me any purpose because
Well, real
again,
quick
I buy
to
all my
counter,
multiplats on my Xbox One so I can play with all my friends and multitask and Skype and do all that cool shit over there, which I can't do none of that shit on the PS4. So PlayStation Plus has no value to me whatsoever, and there are a lot of other people like that too.
so real quick, to counter what you said earlier about Sony not caring about games, Shuhei Yoshida said a couple months ago that only 4 out of every 10 games that they publish make enough money to
Yes,
keep going.
yeah.
Sony's willing to take the risks with games
No.
like Beyond Two Souls or Shadow of the Colossus or
What?
Echo
You know
or The
what?
Last Guardian.
No, it's not that. Sony are bad at business. So you're talking about a company that had over $140 billion.
But
Listen, let me finish. Let me counter what you said. They had over $140 billion in the bank, cash, 9.5 years ago. They have not turned a profit in 9.5 years. That's why Sony is in the position that they're in now. Okay, it's not that they don't care much about the gamer. Sony are bad when it comes to business. That's fact. Look at their track record. It's so bad for them right now. Even the government withdrew their shit. Sony is in a bad place right. They're in a bad space. Not only, like again, I'm gonna say this again. Hear me out. The PlayStation brand itself is okay. Even though it didn't turn a profit, it's okay. They're I don't because out of the big three, believe it or not, only Microsoft. Also Microsoft's going to sell the Xbox. Only the Xbox out of the big three made a profit. In the last quarter. But again, we're going to get back to that in a minute. So again, you take a company and itself. Now, CDs are not selling. People are not buying music like they used to. You can download albums. People are not going to movies like they used to. People are watching movies online and streaming them on Netflix and all that shit. And people are not buying Sony TVs, and Sony is not the same household name that they used to be. They just thought that they were going to lose $400 million on a cell phone thing, and that turned out to be $2.1 billion. And we talking about when I think about if anything, when I'm going to store to buy a console, I'm going to think is these motherfuckers going to be around? Bro. Now I will give Sony this. They do have the best 4K TVs on the market, and I am a Samsung dude. They have a better set right now than Samsung. My next TV that I buy with 4K, when I get one from the front room, is most likely going to be a Samsung. But I debated long and hard because Sony customer service sucks dick, and I'm saying,
okay, can I cut you off right there because you're kind of getting off course? I wanted to say
no, you said it's same to what you were talking about because you said they all about the gamer and they only 4 games. This is what you said. You said only 4 games turned to profit. Let me finish. You said only 4 games turned to profit, and out of 10 games, this is what you said. And I said, that's not that it's so much about the gamer. Sony is bad with business. So I'm just giving you a track record of all how they're fucking. They're bro. I'm just giving you a tracker record how they're fucking up money. They have not turned a profit in 10 years.
But here's the thing, though, is people from Media Molecule founded the company because they were frustrated working at Lionhead Studios because Microsoft didn't give them the creative freedom that they wanted.
Okay, fine. All that stays well and good. We're talking about Sony, and here's again. You talk about someone's for the gamer. Microsoft spent over $2 billion on next generation games and studios, 3 times more than what Sony spent, 3 times more than what Nintendo spent. If you're going to say anyone's for the gamer, it's Microsoft. Come
But see,
on,
here's
bro.
the thing:
That's
how
a
can they, how
fact.
can how can they spend that much money and still not match the PS4's quality?
What are you
Uh,
talking about,
the Evil Within's resolution, the Evil Within's
Bro,
native
listen
resolution
again.
is.
Listen, oh my God.
Here's the
Okay,
thing,
I'm gonna
though.
let you go. Come on, please don't go to resolution. If you go to, I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna eat your ass. I'm telling you right now, don't walk through that door. I'm gonna tear you out. Really, I'm telling you.
See, here's the thing, though.
Here's my troll trap. I'm gonna throw it out there right now. You get your card. Come on, you get your card right there, motherfucker. Go ahead, pick it up. I'm telling you what I
Okay.
said. Listen to what I said before you. I think you can hear me. What I said to you, Rated D. I said that Microsoft spent over and it since then has went up. Spent over $2 billion on next generation games and studios. I said if anyone's about the gamer, it's Microsoft. They spent three
By
times more than Sony. And they spent 3 times more than fucking Nintendo.
if
Now the
buying out
ball is in your
third-party
court.
games, if buying out third-party games like Titanfall and Sunset Overdrive, then I mean, I guess okay. But at the end of the day, the Xbox One version of the Evil Within runs at a lower resolution than
Okay.
Gran Turismo 5 and 6 on the PS3.
Okay. All right. Let me ready. Let me ready. Michael, you
Yeah.
said resolution. Okay. I warned you. Resolution. All right. So Microsoft spending $2 billion on next generation games, right? On next generation games has to deal with resolution. All right, for the record, and if you're saying that the Xbox One is incapable of doing a performing 1080p,
No, I'm not
again,
saying that.
okay, but listen, just hear me out, because we now know that the Xbox One was made with DirectX 12 and 11.3 in mind. DirectX 11.3, and then and again, here's the thing. All right, what we know about DirectX is that it was split what's prime example. You take a game like Rise, was running on one core, 900p, and won best graphics of 2014. Okay.
Real quick to counter that, the company that gave it best graphics gave best game to
Oh,
the crew, a game that's
okay,
not even
let me finish. Let me finish, bro. Like I said, let me finish, okay? We can argue, but I'm saying what it won. It beat out all of Sony's exclusives. It was the Xbox One exclusive that beat it out. Now, with that being said, resolution does not determine graphics. What determines graphics are shaders, textures, okay? That was what determines graphics, okay? It's not resolution. And because last generation, hear me out, over 85% of the PlayStation 3 games were sub HD. They were all 540p when they were 720 on the Xbox 360. But console gamers, we didn't talk about resolution, did we? No. And when it was Sony that said that last generation, that all of the PlayStation 3 games will be 1080p, 60 frames a second. This is what they said last generation about the PS3. But we don't listen again. So like I said, when resolution in frames per second, we'll leave that to the PC dudes because if you really care that much about resolution and frames, because 1080p is outdated. It's all about 4K now. Okay, if you really care that much about resolution and frames per second, you will buy a gaming rig. You wouldn't be playing on consoles. When you think of, like I said, when I buy a console, I'm thinking about all the great features that I can do on my Xbox One that the PS4 would never be able to do. The fact that I'm talking to you, got Netflix playing in the background, you know what I mean? Chatting with my friends right on Xbox Live, can none of that shit be done on the PlayStation 4? None of that shit. So you talking about, like I said they spent $2.1 billion on games and in studios, 3 times more than what Sony spends. Like I said, if it was anyone thinking about the gamer, it was Microsoft.
Okay,
And
can I respond real quick?
you can respond to whatever you want to. Look at 2015. Look at Microsoft 2015 compares to Sony's. Look at it. Look at it.
And it doesn't really impress me.
Okay, we got Quantum Break. Okay,
Yeah,
looks
which looks like a
awesome.
Pixar movie.
Okay, all right. Also, what's okay? To me, graphically, Quantum Break looks way better than The Order.
The
I'm just being
explosions
real.
in Quantum Break look worse than Watch Dogs, dude.
Okay, all right. So I'm not
And
gonna
Watch
go
Dogs
with
is a
you. We got
cross-gen.
Halo 5. We got
Well,
Fable
no.
Legends. Must I keep going? Killer Instinct Season 3. Screen Ride.
But does the going back to what you said at the beginning, the average person going
Crackdown.
into
Listen,
GameStop probably
Crackdown.
doesn't care about
Okay, okay.
Killer Instinct.
Oh, what? Who doesn't care about Killer Instinct? What are you talking
I
about?
didn't even know about it until they brought it out, dude. But
How?
real quick,
Listen,
going
again,
back to the resolution
I
thing
blame
real
it on
quick.
your age, because maybe you never had a Super Nintendo or an N64. Killer Instinct that's not a boy. That's bro. That's a big thing. That game is at Evo. That game is at Evo.
Okay, real quick to respond
But
about the
again,
resolution stuff. First off, you can go to Beyond 3D forums to see the native
beyond
resolutions of all the
3D. We
PS3
talking about a
games, and then
Blu-ray.
you
We
can
talking about
judge
a
them.
Blu-ray site now, right?
Beyond 3D
Okay, I know what it
forums.
is.
Go there and you can see all the native resolutions for PS3 games, and then you can judge whether or not
Oh,
half of them were sub
okay.
HD. Aside from that, there were reviewers last gen, like Arthur Gias of Polygon. When he reviewed Crysis 2, he gave the PS3 version a lower score for graphics because it ran at a lower resolution, which he
Second,
said you
second.
couldn't, which he said you couldn't even notice unless you had them standing
You know
side by
what?
side.
Exactly. You know what? You can't notice. First of all, resolution is so overrated because last year when fucking Call of Duty came out, it was 720p on the PS4 and the Xbox One. And what did IGN said? Well, yeah, we're gonna give the edge to the PlayStation because just the fact that it's in 1080p and it looks a little bit sharper, and the goddamn game was in 720p. Let me tell you something, bro. Unless you have an old TV, no one plays games at 720p. No one plays games at 900p. Okay, the
Then why did
Xbox.
people on the Xbox
Let me
get
finish. Let me
Metal
finish.
Gear Solid 5?
Let me finish. No one plays games at 720p. Even prime example, unless you had a sub HD TV on last generation. When the games were 540p on the PlayStation 3, no one played them at 540p. You know why? Because it was upscaled. Okay. No one the Hannah chip that's in the Xbox One. You know what I mean? Which can upscale the 4K resolution of you. You know what I mean? Again, it's second to fucking none. You know what I mean? You know there are still in non-disclosure agreements as far as the Xbox One hardware. You know what I mean? Even with BioWare, I think it's the funniest shit in the world because even now these developers are saying this whole resolution shit is a ploy by Sony. They're getting tired of talking about it and all this shit right here. You know what I mean? Is that even BioWare came out and said the Xbox One is nowhere near being tapped out as far as its potential. They still have non-disclosure agreements on that goddamn console, and it's been out going on fucking a year. There's still a chipset in the Xbox One that they don't even know what the fuck is used for. You know what I mean? They thought the Xbox One had a certain GPU, and it doesn't. Like, I'll put it like this: Microsoft spent $2 billion on developing the Xbox One. Sony spent $400 million. Was the PlayStation 4? Where it was, I will give them was smart. I guess at the time, it gives you, everything up front. But what you see is what you get. As far as the Xbox One, it's continually to grow. The Xbox, the PS4 uses, prime example, it uses that GDDR5 RAM, which is great for your GPU, but it has high latency and it slows down your CPU. Prime example, why the fuck do you think, what's that shit, Assassin's Creed Unity,
Which has major frame rate drops on the Xbox One version. We haven't seen the
again, why
PS4.
do you think it couldn't get, it wasn't nothing, some games are heavy on the CPU, and like I said, in that engine, some engines are heavy on the CPU. Like I said, GDDR5 RAM, the reason why the Xbox One, no, even better, fuck all that, I'm not even going there. Like, I would say like this, Aaron Green, I don't pay Microsoft being liars. They said, why would we give our biggest competitor a 30% advantage? There are things not yet known about our system that we can't discuss yet. You know what I mean? Just before we know anything about DirectX 12, DirectX 11.3, any of these. It's some things that we can, that you're going to see in 2015, 2016 that are going to blow your mind. You
But
do
Phil
realize
Spencer
that, you
said the
listen, you do
Xbox
realize that
isn't that
you
big of a
do
difference.
realize that this console generation is just starting. It's nowhere near done. You Sony fans are jumping up and down and say, woohoo! It's not like, you know what I mean? It's not over. And when last time Microsoft had released any figures in a long time.
Okay, a couple things real quick.
Okay.
To,
And please
to
don't go
go back
about
to
VG
the
charts because that's not official, bro.
rise of graphics, the same group of people or whatever that gave it best graphics gave best game of the year to The Crew, a game that's not even out yet.
Okay. So what did
Aside from
I don't
that,
so what do you're questioning their integrity or something? They're in
I'm
business
saying
or
that they're
something.
I'm saying that their opinion really doesn't matter if they're going to give Game of the Year to a game that hasn't come out.
What?
They gave Game of
Wow.
the Year or best game
So
to The
their opinion
Crew when
doesn't
it's not
matter.
even
Okay.
out yet.
But anyway, come on. No, riddle me this. If they would have gave Game of the Year to Infamous Second Son or gave Infamous Second Son Graphics of the Year, we wouldn't be you wouldn't say that their opinion wouldn't matter, but you still say their opinion didn't matter?
If they still gave Crew an award like that, then I'd
Okay.
still say it
Okay.
really
But
doesn't matter.
anyway, what else we
Well,
got?
So the other thing is, Phil Spencer already said that DX12 isn't going to make that big of a difference. You know, and all these developers have come out and talked about the SRAM bottleneck with the Xbox One. And the other thing is, everybody says that the PS4 is more powerful.
What did Bill Prince? What he said?
Phil Spencer, he said that
Do you know what
DX12
the
isn't
Rig
going to make
S12
that big of
does?
a difference.
I just told you it splits up the workload evenly between all 6 cores. So how the fuck? Did you hear what Ubisoft said? That's going
About
to be
what?
a huge help. So instead of us running these games off 1 and 2 cores, we can run these games off 6 cores evenly. That's going to help out with frames per second, resolution. You do realize that.
But then why does Assassin's Creed Unity
Listen,
have such major frame rate drops on the
okay.
Xbox
You
One?
do realize the Xbox One can do ray tracing? The PS4 can't even do that. We're talking about TAL resources. They're not using what the Xbox One's architecture, what it's made for. When these new SDK comes in, that's the DirectX 11.3 and DirectX 12, bro. Again, even the fact if they get in the game right now in 900p 1080p, running on 1 core, imagine what they're going to be able to do when they can use all 6 cores. Is all that I'm saying. That's fact.
Like I said, Phil Spencer himself said that DX12 isn't going to make that big of a difference. I'll take his word for it over all this other speculation. And
That's not speculation. That's what it's for.
But see, here's the other thing.
Makes a
Infamous
car work more efficiently. That's what it's for.
And here's the other thing. With Infamous Second Son, Sucker Punch had already said that by the end of the generation, they could probably get a game like Infamous running at 60 frames per second. If it's already running at 40 to 45 frames, I'd say that a large portion of what we have right now with the consoles has already been tapped. And if the PS4 is more powerful than the Xbox One, as everybody has said, then I don't see how the Xbox One can really bring up all that secret sauce or whatever at the end of the generation.
Again, let me tell you the secret to this shit here, and it's not about power. You can have the most powerful console in the world, but if you don't have the tools to extract that power, it means nothing. And more important, again, let me say this. If power determines how great a console is, then the original Xbox would have won the 6th generation because it was way more powerful than the PS2. It comes down to games. Okay, if console dudes cared about power, we would get a PC. We're talking about consoles. Neither the PS4 or the Xbox One are world beaters. They're extremely anemic compared to what's going out in this modern day. Okay, but when you buy a console, you're buying a console. The reason why? Let me explain this to you. The reason why I choose the Xbox One, the features. Okay, I love the features.
But what do the features have to do with games?
Listen. I just told you. I said, what I say? The reason why I chose a console. Okay, no one buys a console now just to play games anymore. They don't. Now, why do you think Nintendo is so far behind the curve? Okay? I'm just being real. Okay,
but the Xbox One is in dead last place.
Let me finish, bro. Let me finish. Okay, so when you buy a PS4, you like the fact that you can do other things in your console, right? Makes it neat, right? You can watch movies. You can, you don't care about this stuff. Again, so like I said, and features do play an important part of what you can do with your console and purchasing. I like the fact that I can Skype, talk to my friends, video chat, and all. Bro, I like the fact that say if I'm playing you in Call of Duty or whatever, Assassin's Creed, and I get this ultimate kill off you, I can just say Xbox record that, and that clip will go out to all my friends, and they can see it live. Fuck taking my word for it. They can see it live. You know what I mean? The snap feature, while I'm playing my game, they want to listen to my podcast. Shout out to everybody watching the show live. Those are features. The fact that I can snap in and still they can still play their game and snap and listen to me and you back and forth popping shit. That's dope shit. That's next generation shit there. You know what I mean? The fact that again, that like I said, Xbox Live is leap years, beyond what the fucking doing. Then like I said, we got the games. Microsoft next year again, we got Tomb Raider. Whether you like it or not, we got
which is also going to come to the PS4 the year after.
Well, okay. What did Phil Spencer say? He said, you see, like the quote Phil Spencer. He said he's not going to invest money into a game that's going to make it better on the PlayStation 4. He said, if you want to think of the deal, so we don't hear. Let me finish.
If you want to go back to the games again,
listen, let me finish. Bro, let me finish, man. Like, calm down. I'll let you speak. Like I said, You know, just put your shirt back on. We can sing together, but we can't talk together. Since you like to quote Phil Spencer, he said, "No way, he said we don't own the IP, but if you think of the deal, think of it like Dead Rising 3 or with Rise. Said we said what we're not going to do. We're not going to take money because they are publishing the game. We're not going to take money and make that game better on a rival console, the platform. Now the next two rated, yes, it may do go to the PlayStation 4. It probably does. They didn't buy the IP, but this is what Phil Spencer like. He said, "We're not going to. I'm not going to invest money and make that game better on a rival platform."
But if it's still going to come to the PS4 the same, then it's still coming to the PS4.
Wait, again, if they're publishing, give me somewhere that is written that I will give you $100 for it. Give me somewhere that is written that it said it's coming to the PlayStation 4. Please.
It was basically implied when they first announced it, and that's where I'm getting.
No.
So real quick, going back to the point that I made at the beginning, at the end of the day, Metacritic is a general gathering of a bunch of people.
Back to Metacritic again?
Hold on. It's a general gathering of a bunch of different people's opinions about games. Okay. And if the PS4 has more quality games than the Xbox One, even now, then that means there are more quality games on the PS4 than the Xbox One.
Hey, Sleazy D, what did you say? Okay. Listen, you're not testing positive for swag right now. You said that you don't use Metacritic when you're determining buying your game.
I know, but I'm saying that when you look at what both of the consoles offer,
that's opinionated, bro. You just said you don't use it. I said I don't use it. So how could you sell that? Bro, I didn't even know what the fuck Metacritic was until 2 years ago.
Well, I'm just saying that.
No, you can't say because that's not a valid point. My uncle just bought an Xbox One. You think?
But the thing is, when you take
no.
Put them together.
Listen, games. Metacritic does not judge the console; it judges the games. Okay.
Yes, and that's why when the console has more quality games,
bro. Listen, man. No, listen. Microsoft has more. Listen here, and you can't. I don't know how you're trying to spend it. The Xbox One has more exclusives, AAA exclusive than the PS4. And even for 2015.
Like I said, you're just generalizing with that. No, with 2015, we don't even know what's coming yet. We already know.
Quantum Break. All you have is The Order, Bloodborne, and I doubt if what do you call that shit? Uncharted. We probably won't get that in 2016. 3 games, and what do you have for Microsoft? We have about 10 games. We got Crackdown, we got Phantom Dust, we got
in my personal opinion, Crackdown is garbage.
Come on, bro. Like I said, you know what? You're gonna say tomato. We're gonna say tomorrow. I'm gonna let you in with your last given comment statement or whatever you want to bring up, and then I'm gonna refute that, and then we can do a part 2. You're running kind of long. I'm starving because now you're back to talking about Metacritic. Give me another valid point.
Okay, just a final general statement right here. Like I said, first off, to brush up with Metacritic to really explain what I'm saying.
Oh my God. You know you're owning yourself.
Well, let me say.
You just said that you didn't even go by this. So how the hell if you're listen again?
Because when you look at the two consoles, you can't take just one person's opinion.
So ladies and gentlemen, do you see what I got to deal with here? Do you see this? You are true to your name. You are Sleazy D for real. This motherfucker is sleazy. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're coming in late to this show, he said that he does not use Metacritic when determining to buy a game or anything.
For me personally,
okay. That's all I can say for the people out there in YouTube land. He's already said that he doesn't use that in determining buying a console or a game, but he's back to talking about Metacritic again. But you got the floor. I'm done.
I'm just saying, in general, when you look at what the two consoles have to offer, there are more games that Metacritic says, which is a general gathering of different people's opinions that are of quality than you have with the Xbox One. And when it comes to the power, the reason I would get multiplats on the PS4 over the Xbox if I had an Xbox is because at the end of the day, they do look better to some extent most of the time. So even if I don't really care that much about resolution either. I'm going to get Assassin's Creed and I think it looks great. But at the end of the day, when you have Metal Gear, Call of Duty, at least from last year, we'll have to see what's the case this year. All these multiplats, even the Evil Within, which looks like garbage on both, and Gran Turismo is better than the Xbox version anyway. Even games like that, they still look better to an extent on the PS4.
Okay. Again,
and that's just factual that they do look better.
Once again, all right. All right, now I'm gonna say this again. All right, Again, when it graphics resolution does not determine graphics. It's not my opinion. That is fact.
That's why I said it
What
looks
determines
better. The graphics aren't necessarily better.
okay, what determines graphics are shaders and textures. Okay, no one plays a game at 900p. If you have there's no. Have you ever seen a 900p television on the set on the market?
I
No.
get what you're
Both
saying.
the Xbox One and the PS4 upscales. You know they stop. No more candy. They upscale. Okay. You know what I mean. And again, all right. So and the mass public doesn't go out to buy a console and thinking about what's on Metacritic because I
I know.
don't.
I'm
You're
not
not
saying that
saying.
they're gonna do it.
Okay,
I'm just saying in
what you
general.
said. I'll let you listen, Sleazy D. I'm just refuting because even you said you don't go by what's on Metacritic.
I
Neither
know, but
do
I'm
I.
saying when you look
But
at what the
you even
consoles
said
have
for
to
yourself.
offer,
Okay,
there are
listen.
better games on the
Okay,
PS4.
what has to offer? What can I do on my Xbox One that I can't do on my PS4?
I'm
Let's
saying
see.
it has
Let's see.
more
That's what I'm. Oh,
quality
let me
games.
finish. Oh, but listen. No, it does not. When the Xbox One has more fucking retail games, Sleazy D. What are you
But at that
talking
point, you're
about?
crippling part of the PS4's
No,
offerings
you're
by just.
talking. Listen, wait, hold on. Sit down. Okay, no more. Sit down. As I was saying, when you can't even use games as your debate when the Xbox One has more retail fucking games. Like I don't know what the hell you talking about. Flower? Like come on, bro.
It has a
Stop
90
it.
plus on Metacritic, and
So
it's
listen,
on the PS4, and it's
hey,
not on
Brandon,
the Xbox One.
you listen.
It's
You know what you, bro? You
multi-plat,
know what?
not on
Yo,
Xbox.
listen. Let me finish. You know you're really owning yourself. You're back to talking about Metacritic. You're not even making any sense when you said you don't even use Metacritic yourself. Okay, but
I'm
let me.
saying not
Can
for
I
me. I'm
finish,
saying
bro?
when you look
Just
at
let
it
me
in
listen.
general.
And listen here, Pony. I'm about to drag you to the blue fit. The blue fit. You know, what do you do with a pony with a broke leg? I'm about to euthanize you, man. Listen here. You don't use. You just said you don't use Metacritic as determining factor in you buying your games.
For me
Okay.
personally, but when you look at
Okay.
what
Oh,
both
let me finish.
consoles have
And
to
when I
offer,
think
the
now
general
again, when you
consensus
said
is that the PS4 has more
oh my
better
God.
games.
It's not the public consensus because again, I don't you know what? I'm gonna keep it real. You know why the PlayStation 4 is leading right now in sales? Because there were so many people unhappy, PS3 owners that wasn't happy with the PS3 that they upgraded before. There's so listen, you know how well, you don't know, but you know how big the Gears, you know, following is? Do you know how big the Halo following is? Like, these people still playing on their 360s. They're
Yeah,
happy
there's still
with their
people still
360s.
playing
Okay,
Uncharted 2.
let me finish. Let me
There are
finish. Okay,
2,000 people on
let
Uncharted
me
2's
finish.
multiplayer
Let
every
me finish.
day.
Brady D, come on, bro. We was going good all day. Just can I finish now, bro? I gave you your chance to speak. Okay, I gave it to you. You know you fucked up, right? Because now I'm about to euthanize you.
No, dude, you cut me off
Okay,
though.
try to say that the PS4 was better because of sales. Okay, which means
One
nothing.
of the
Okay,
reasons,
let me
and when
finish.
it
So
sells
when I think
better,
about
when the
what's
sales are
better
good
on
at
the Xbox
PS4s,
One, what I think about what's better on the Xbox One. Are you listening to me?
yes.
All right. Guess what I'm doing? Guess what I'm doing right now? Guess what I'm doing, Sleazy D? Guess. Just guess. What are we doing right now? We're debating, right? I'm on my Xbox One. Then I got the motherfucker. My daughter's watching Netflix. I'm talking to people on Skype. I love the multipass. And guess what I got? I'm gonna go right back into Killer Instinct when this is all said and done. Because I guess what? We got that feature that Sony said you guys were gonna have, that resume and play. We've been doing that shit since day one. Okay? The shit that Sony promised, we get updates every month. Updates every month. Meaningful updates every month. Sony gets dog shit. So you think about what's a better system and who's for the gamer. Microsoft listens to their fans. They listen to us. They interact with us. Like, come on, you got Phil Spencer, the man himself, partaking in fucking podcasts. Your shit would never do no shit like that, man. No, like I'm just saying, if anybody's for the gamer, it's the Xbox One. It's a far better console. Far better console. Multitasking. It does it all. And it has the better games. And guess what? They got that money. I just hope Sony still be in business 2 years from now. Because guess what? The
Well, Sony's
Xbox
got a lot of money in reserves, though.
no. Sony won't have shit. They couldn't even pay their share. Okay. They couldn't even pay their shareholders this last okay, they couldn't even pay their shareholders that last thing. They gonna fucking run and get sued. But again, check this shit out though. Before I let you go, again, the Xbox division. You talking about what's in the public consensus? The Xbox division is worth more than Sony in the whole. Fact. But ladies and gentlemen, we will catch you guys. We're gonna do a part two maybe next week. I don't know. But this pony has been slaughtered. I had put this pony out of his misery. Bang bang. Xbox One gang. You know. Say now, give a shout out to the Rated D for coming by, and I'm
All
about to go
right,
eat.
what's going on, guys? I've tasted
I'm about to go
positive for
eat some,
swag. Keep it frosty.
and I'm about to go eat some horse meat, and my steak is horse meat. And yeah, man, it is what it is, man.
All right, later,
Thank you
dude.
guys. See you guys next.